Hi. Um, uh, so today, welcome to the season 1, episode 2 of the Rumble Talks. So I have been motivated from my last Rumble Talks, so I thought I'll record another one. And today is a special day because after almost 2 years, I guess, 2 to 3 years since COVID happened, I got a chance to visit a conference in person. There were a few conferences that I had attended online, but getting a chance to go to an in-person conference was a great opportunity, and I'll thank AWS India for that. It was a AWS Dev Day conference in Bangalore, and it happened in Taj Yeshwanthpur. I'm sorry for the adding so much details, but the main part is that going there, attending those sessions, spending a whole day. I especially took a leave, and knowing what is happening in the industry, specifically in the cloud space, data engineering, data science, was really great. I've not done this. While you do it online, it's not the same feeling. See, sitting with so many people and then trying and getting to know few people, network with them, and then going into this kind of a full event where you see the leaders of the industry, or at least hear from the experts. It's a different experience, and one has to always try to go to an in-person conference to gain. I can personally say I think I gained so much knowledge that what I have not gained probably in the last few months that I have been working in my current role. And so while you work on technologies to get the wider picture, where the industry is going, it's not an easy thing, and this conference was a great opportunity to do that. The things that I liked about the event was it was a single day. It was a very tightly organized event. We went at 9:30, registered. By 10 the session started. We had tea. Tea served to us before the events. There was a keynote. It was a very good keynote by their director of solution architecture, I think India and the Asia Pacific region. I think I have the page also open. I'll say his name. Yeah, he is Anupam Mishra, Director Solution Architecture, AWS India and South Asia. The best part was he talked about his 15 years in the industry and how his journey, his experiences have impacted his journey, and also what he has learned through them. And one of the key things he said that things will fail, right? Anywhere things will fail. The point is how you fail fast. Some concepts from the I would say startup ecosystem, but the main thing that I really liked was the focus of the thing was you fail, but also learn from the failures, and also try to probably simulate failures. And that's where one key thing that I can remember was chaos engineering. This is something that was popularized by Netflix. I have heard about it and also read from time to time. They have also a framework for that, but never truly got a chance to use it. And I am afraid in the many companies that I've worked till now, Chaos engineering is a nice name, but only I think internet scale companies try to implement that and test it. I don't see it happening mostly in big enterprise. If you see, the traditional mindset is we are risk averse, so doing these in production development and probably trying to battle harden your system. Rather, we'll still go with the traditional approaches of probably doing a checklist based approach rather than doing this whole randomized functional specification where here you simulation based testing, and probably I don't think even somebody has the guts to do that in production. Same was with respect to DR as well. He spoke like how many cases when we talk about DR, our DRs are as good as we take our backups, but first to do a DR takes a lot of time, and many a times DRs are not successful. If you really have to DR, our disaster recovery is for those times when as we have seen so many natural calamities, to continue our business continuity. Even if in one region something fails, at least from some another region we can run. And in realistic, I've seen it takes a lot of time, it has a lot of disruptions, and really DRs do not always are successful in real world scenarios. So these are something still I think even somebody like AWS and even big internet scale companies are trying to figure out, but at least the focus that to make it mature in a cloud environment, how to automate that. I think focus on those areas was also another thing I also liked to take away from his keynote. And he also spoke about some of the key services which were on offer. He didn't talk all the key services, but some of the key services that I think AWS wants to sell. And one was similar to something like Microsoft's Copilot, GitHub Copilot, and similar to that there is some Dev Guru, and also they have also created something called DevOps Guru, kind of ML driven supportive capabilities which will help developers. So this year that was also another good part. So there was so the way he spoke about dev tools, again I don't know if this is only supported for the developer specific tooling, AWS specific developer tooling, or to the larger, like you see GitHub Copilot. So that is I'm yet to try out, but at least that was exciting. I mean, to see that just you here writing a function name, putting those parameters can actually give you a kind of a function. I mean, that was again as a good for a show, but at least even AWS catching, so that was nice. Apart from that, also all the other events that had happened, specifically I was there were 3 tracks. There was a development track, solution architecture, and data science and data engineering. Though I would say the data engineering and data platform side of things were more heavy in the sessions that were conducted, though the last session was primarily MLOps. Though it was trying to at least assuage some of the data science of things, but I would say it was more towards at least I can see the theme for this year was more data engineering and data resilience, and these are some things also the industry is trying to address, because data science has grown and there is still a lot of tooling is developed, but most people have been focusing to that, but the core capabilities of cost saving, of making sure your services are available, that was missing. And that thing I think was somewhat addressed in some of these sessions, that how best you can use some of these sessions, some of these tools, platforms. And the best thing was the way they explained these offerings, along with connecting with somebody like developers like us, or technologists like us, was good. For example, the data science track was more when it started. It started like, how can you set up serverless data lakes, and the offerings that were spoken about were like something like EMR serverless, and also there is, I think, a Kafka offering, Kafka kind of serverless, and then Keyspace serverless, which is their Cassandra offering. And also the biggest highlight was probably the Redshift serverless, which is more like on-demand. It is trying to catch up with Azure's Synapse Analytics. So that was one, and the best part was also in the Redshift was probably, which I think more and more companies are moving to, is something like materialized views on top of streams, where you can actually capture the data real time and you can see how to use it for fast data. Till now, most of the data warehouse offerings were driven still towards batch data loads, and generally still you had to have some kind of data pipeline to ingest to them. Either you put it onto S3 or you put it directly in the database, something like Snowpipe, where you put into it, or Firehose as an example on Redshift ecosystem. But there was still a latency. But at least this concept of native materialized views, which is gaining ground, even if you see in open source areas where you actually can directly read on top of those events on Kafka or some of the common open source frameworks. Mostly I would say Kafka is the preferred for real-time streaming, the main platform. So that really was a good example, and also it inspired, like, and at least put into your thoughts that okay, this is an option. If this is in Redshift, where else in an open source offering that would be? So that was the kind of knowledge I took. That is what is there as a technology that is being offered. Obviously, there are alternatives in open source or on-prem or third-party which we can explore. So this gives also that idea of the technologies that are evolving. That is what I was probably missing this last few years or months, where we just far more were boxed towards the technology that we work on, but getting to know this helps. Then there was this. There was a qualitative session on how you can probably move your loads from your workloads from your on-prem data warehouse to Redshift. It was more of a demo, not that I wouldn't say that great, but one thing was like Azure has ADF and also I think they have some migration services. Same way Amazon's data migration service looked promising. Again, I'm yet to use it, but something like boards. So primarily for the medium scale lift and shift, right? If you are trying to lift and shift your tables to cloud, right? So if you want something natively available from AWS itself, it seemed to be a good choice. And they said that you can do CDC with it, I would still probably go with something like HVR or let's say Click, or I've never used DBZM, but I hear a lot. And they also suggested, depending on your scale, probably will use, but at least they had some kind of offering in the form of the data management data migration services. So that was a good learning. Also, there were a lot of other how the whole ecosystem of these offerings you can use to actually provision your data lake or your data warehouse was also very helpful. And specifically the demo where you can actually do this on-demand scaling of your Redshift cluster, and how easily you can the demo of how the data in real time you can go and you can ingest into the Redshift. That was very helpful. Also, there was this session on I think the most highlight for me was the transactional data lakes on AWS. While this was primarily of the different types of transactional data lake file formats, which is more like moves towards the lakehouse architecture, but the speaker went deep into technologies like Azure, Apache Iceberg, Apache Hoodie, and also Delta Lake. So how the Delta file format and these three file formats, how this transactional data lake you can build, how these file formats are similar, different, their comparisons, the background of how they achieve this transactional properties in your data lake, and what are the benefits they bring, in which kind of scenarios you can use. This was something I was searching for, and finding that in this session was really helpful. And also in a way he showed with some demos how you can actually how the EMRs serverless, and also how the EMR serverless offering you can use to ingest this particular kind of data, and where Glue, like for cataloging, and also Athena for querying, comes into this whole architecture he explained, and that was nice. And there was another great session on the data modeling piece of it, NoSQL. They spoke about all the different types of offerings that are there, like for example their document DB, then where DynamoDB fits in, where Keyspace fits in. I felt if I have to think in vis-a-vis Azure, I would say, because I've used Azure a lot, maybe CosmoDB and DynamoDB are, but I think CosmoDB is far more evolved personally. Then also how to use them, like different types of what are the key aspects when you are trying to build a scalable database or data platform for your applications, be it enterprise or be it even your startup apps. What kind of database you should, NoSQL database should choose, and what are the offerings that AWS has, and what is best in what kind of scenario. While we know getting that from in the form of a simplified explanation was really refreshing, and that I really liked. And finally, I would say the last thing that was the last session was on the ML flow. While there were, I think, 2 sessions on ML. Like one was spoken on what are the ML offerings they have, specifically vis-a-vis the infrastructure, vis-a-vis the I would say the infrastructure, the SageMaker, or the whole SageMaker platform, and how it fits in. And then the second talk was on how MLOps you can do. MLOps capability on SageMaker as an end-to-end native CI/CD with CI/CD to productionize is natively you can do without using something like Kubeflow or probably Apache Airflow. That was something again was interesting, very intensive, because it completely spoke about the whole from the starting, like explaining, because most of the audience was not that much, not everybody was on MLOps, right? So getting to the baselining on how a typical ML pipeline works, how data engineering fits in, then how probably you would build your typical ML pipeline, how to what are the key nuances of probably building this in developing, testing, deploying, and then also doing that, deploying that onto SageMaker and actually showing that as a demo. It was definitely a very dense session, and probably that was the highlight, though it would need me to go back and see those slides I've taken, and each time I was snapping a lot of these in this photo of these sessions, and probably learned a lot. I mean, as I said, I'm just remembering because tomorrow if I see this video, probably I'll remember some of these words and nice stuff. So yeah, I think I'm overshot. I was thinking of 10 minutes, now it's almost 20 minutes of a talk, me rambling. I hope you also got some nice words from here that you can take, and probably also attend the AWS Dev Days when it happens in your region. It's definitely worth it event, and I would suggest take it. Their solution architecture offerings, at least those sessions and developer sessions, were also looking promising. I was not so much because I mostly work in data engineering and data science space, so probably that was most interesting to me, but they are worth it. So take them and have a nice day. Bye.